Okay, we are honored to have Thomas Dade here with us this evening. This is the first of our evening lectures. So we have had a series of Sunday art talks that are panel discussions of a series of artists that are from our current exhibitions, but this is the first time we're doing a solo evening lecture. So we're thrilled you're here. Thank you so much. So Thomas is part of our exhibition here. The title of the show is called Bodies, Water, Land, Flesh, Evidence. And he has an incredibly unique perspective. And I'm going to just do a quick little bio just to give you a point of reference, although he's going to fill in all the details. So Thomas Dade is an abstract painter who brings his creative vision to life through a diverse range of mediums, drawing on the energy of music, his ancestral roots, and the transformative influence of Afro-Futurism. Thomas creates works that explore complex layers of identity and metaphysics. He credits his experiences as an assistant to renowned artist Sam Gilliam and John Dreyfuss for sparking his passion and guiding him on a vibrant journey of artistic and cultural exploration. So here we have some works of his on this wall, and there's some others on the other side of this wall and behind you. And with that, I'm just going to give it over to you and start wherever you want to start. Here you are. If you would like it, you don't have to have it.
It brings back my days of singing in front of people. They dared me. It was like I was Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and I was in the visual art department, and it was like, what was it, Sam Bonds, who was the chairman of everything music. It was like, wait a minute, you're in the visual arts department. What do you mean sing? But I had some talented people come up with me, sing. Dave Chappelle was the MC that night. And here I am. It's a journey, and I'm very grateful to be here and speak to you about my art. This is something that I guess, some people say they're born with, because ever since I was little, I've been doing it. And being here talking about it should come easy, but believe me, it doesn't come that easy because I'm very private in a sense. But thanks to Instagram, I'm able to show my art to people without really seeing things. And that gives me confidence. And I get to play the music that I like along with it. So, welcome everybody to the gallery, the studio, this lecture here. I took the name Picasso because Picasso painted. And he did what he loved to do for a very, very long time. People got so many things to say about him now that he's gone. They bring up all the dirt. I even hear people say things about my dear beloved godfather, Sam Gilliam. But the work stands. And that's where I stand, is just continue to do the work. And that's why I'm here, I believe. No, that's why I'm here, I know. Because I just continue to do the work, Just wake up and create. So I can talk about all these things. I have some slides. This is over where I was born. I'm born in Washington, D.C. I'm a Washingtonian, a native Washingtonian. By default, I have a love and affection for chairs. There's a huge chair. It used to be a furniture store. It's like a landmark over there in Anacostia, where I was born. And up the hill, Frederick Douglass' home is there, but right across the street, or not far from there, my grandmother lost one of her children in a fire in Anacostia, in that area. And so that's sort of something traumatic in a sense for the family, but perseverance. So within that chair just there is a head, a stone head. I try to create things within sculpture and painting. And the bottom line of it all is that just try to have some fun with it all. Where I reside now, in conjunction with Frederick Douglass, is what they call the post-Civil Hagerstown. So I had folks say, wow, look at the juxtaposition of where you are. And I think that's just destiny, because in DC, things went a lot faster for me. You know, I was born and raised there. Hagerstown embraced me, coming over the mountains, seeing things differently slowed me down so I could create a body of work that I'm proud of. And all of these pieces here have been created in the last decade, in a sense. Nothing is a decade old, but this sort of movement that I had in creating art every day with no excuses really started where I had a space of my own. I had that time to sit still and appreciate the things that were around me. The last time I had that is when I went to school in Kansas City, Missouri. It was the first time I ever left Washington, D.C., the first time I ever drove a plane. But I ended up driving there in the middle of the year. So here is Duke Ellington, the smiley face my wife put there, to designate where I am amongst all those great folk. That was my first painting that I'm standing beside, that my art teacher, Kathy Kahn, gave me this huge painting and told me to paint over top of it, but it was already a beautiful painting and I didn't understand it, but it's like not getting attached to certain things and the transformative value in things, and I guess she believed in what I could do. But this was during the time of Marion Barry and the situation that he got entangled with. So you can see there, because I came up in the 80s, and it's like a journey, a journey to be here, but there's like, you know, it's like a catacomb situation, you know. That painting was named there. This is like in 1989. That's Peggy Cooper Caford's. That evening she passed away the following Sunday, and she gave me a card. You know, I was doing a mural for her in her home. I visited her home many times, but she never really saw what I could do as a person. It was always in the shadow of people like John or Sam. So this really, what is happening right now is me coming out of the shadows of those folk, you know, because those are some big shadows, you know. And when people ask me, they see me in the street, they would say, Thomas, what are you doing with your art after school and everything? And it'd be like, I work for Sam, or, you know, work with John. The thing was, I was working for them in tandem. So it was a very unique situation for me to be in Washington, D.C., and being a young black man, and like having those folk in my corner at that time was so significant. I mean, I won a Woodward competition to even get to be in the spaces with them gentlemen. And I'm very grateful to the Duke Ellington School of the Arts for that, and Peggy. Here, that's Sam Gilliam up there. That's a picture of me in the studio. Not a lot of things I had. It wasn't the times of Instagram and instant pictures and things and such. And some of his work and John's work, and you can find both of their work in the National Harbor. This is me in my studio. I did not realize that we had these aerial views that were so similar, Sam and I, until like a couple of days ago putting this stuff together. Because I really never put things together, I just constantly worked. And so I know they saying like, you don't have to get ready if you're ready, in a sense. So I've always been painting, I've been waiting for the moment where I can show what I have. So that coincides with that picture of him, of Sam. It's probably early 70s. And that's me, probably about maybe 4 years ago, just before the second solo show I had in Philadelphia. Those are all significant pieces on the floor that the way that I work, I can touch all of those at any given time when I'm working on some type of project, because I get a spark of energy and it just won't stop. You know, that thing is real where they say artists stay up at night and the best hours are like 3 o'clock in the morning, things like that. When something's coming up, I have that energy, and it's, you know, it's like heaven in a sense. If there's anything, because you're in your element, you know, it's very strong. I selected some of these slides because it coincides with some people that sort of are, that I care about in a sense. I mean, they're more modern, but they're who speaks to me. Basquiat, Pablo, and that picture down below with that brick on my ear, that's me in Kansas City. I couldn't leave DC. I wanted to call all the time. That phone was very expensive to use. I'd be calling home. I was homesick. It was my first time being away. It was like a culture shock, you know what I mean? It was different. But it was a huge experience, and I love every bit of it. And it's like, one thing about Picasso is that, and me with my work, is that I pull from so many different sources. So it's like, I'm always seeing something different with him every time I see something I never saw before. And that's what sparks my energy to continue to create, is to create something that I've never seen before. And it's almost impossible, because things reproduce themselves like fashion. I had a discussion with my wife the other day, and it was like, nothing ever goes out of style, you know what I mean? Because style is within you, right? It only expires or go out of style when we expire, in a sense. But then sometimes we have legacies or memories. So things reproduce themselves, in a sense, So I look back at some of the stars of art, in a sense, or some of the ones that, like Rauschenberg, found objects, Jasper Johns, things such as that. This piece here is mine that I've done, that I just want to be a little different, and so I sort of create a sort of bevel shape to it, a sort of a panel. And it's called Exodus. That's John Shell Basquiat up there, and like I said, Pablo, one of my early works in Kansas City. This here is really talking about something that is significant to me, and it also shows where I sort of build things that I could have stopped someplace. It's almost like my own personal NFTs. Like, I never really jumped on board with NFTs because I felt I was already doing it, in a sense, whereas I take pictures in different stages of my work. One of Pablo Picasso's quotes is, "A painting's not finished till it leaves the studio." Well, for me, it has to leave the studio and have to go home with somebody else other than me, so it can stop its progress in the world, because I love to sort of have the painting evolve and talk. I mean, the paintings really talk to me. And when I look at certain films or listen to certain music, certain colors or movements of line come into play, and I look at something and I may turn it upside down and I want to change it. In the third grade, a teacher asked me once when she gave a project of coloring, and it was like something simple like a flower, and under crayon maybe we had only 8 colors, but she saw something in me. She asked me a question after class or during class about something that I did, and it was because I put a black crayon around everything that I colored. I not only colored in the line, but I put a black line around it. Coming full circle, that's still what I do today. I can't explain why it is. It's like taking the word block, not really black, is it a color in a sense? But I don't have an answer for my third grade teacher of why I did that, but I did it very early on, and it continues today with my line work. But here are the same paintings and multiple stages. Black American Gothic comes from a painting called American Gothic. I've always thought, and it's not really true, and you can Google it, it's not who I thought it was Norman Rockwell. It's another artist, Brantwood, yes. And down below is another American Gothic, and it's a portrait by Gordon Parks. Black American Gothic for me is me being able to understand the world today as it changes and transforms as far as who we are as human beings. I've done a lot of paintings on Adam and Eve and just those singular values of humanity. And for me, that's how I can understand how to approach humanity, approach humans, and to love. It's through that story. And a Black American Gothic is me in real time and being seen, being visible, you know, standing alongside my wife wherever we may go and being true to ourselves, you know. And it's something that it needs to be proud of in the sense of who I am. It's like a stamp of approval for me and saying that God is pleased with me and my choices. Here is a painting from a show, my second show that I had, and it was the third solo show I had in Washington, D.C. It was called Millie after my grandmother. And this painting is called Brunch on Sundays, and these are the same paintings. This version here has oil over top of that, but those are the very exact same paintings because I have the ability to change my mind and to enjoy what I do. Brunch on Sundays brunch is just a wonderful time. It's, you know, it's a wonderful time. It's on Sunday, brunch, you know what I mean? It doesn't happen any other time during the week. I just love that. As far as like naming paintings and things, it's like an affection that you have. You want to hold tight to something that you love, so you name it that in a sense, and you incorporate those values of love and creating. That's one of the reasons why I did this painting here called The Horror of Cabrini Greens, is because I never knew the story of good times and things such as that. But I had a man in my life, my mom married, and it was my stepdad, William Hibbler, and he was an educator, so he gave me a book, and all the other books were something that I had to learn. He was a math teacher as well, so I had to learn mathematics. I had to do this. I had to do a book. I had to write a report. I was probably about 9 years old. I had to do a book report on everything that he gave me. And he gave me a lot of books to read, and this is one of the books. So I want to kind of give homage to that point in time, because if he did not give me the books that he gave me to read, I wouldn't have the content to paint the things that I paint today, because I took all those things in because he tested me at the end of the week, you know. We had World Book Encyclopedias, and I had to underline all the words that I did not know, and he already read the books. So at the end of the week, if there were certain things that I didn't say, he knew that I was jiving him. So I had to go back, and I had to actually read those things. I had to look those words up and what they meant, because he was going to test me at the end of the week. He did that for my sister and I. But my sister, man, to women, man, you guys are just smart off the break, you know. But I was hard-headed, you know. But anyway, this is Brunch on Sundays. So now you can see they have a little sippy sip there. It changes. Here is another painting. This is sort of a hallmark piece of mine. These are all the same pieces again. At any given time, like I said, at NFT, that if a person was to purchase this painting, it's like I would do something so special as have lithographs for each of those moments, because each of those moments of doing those pieces, I believe in all of those moments, you know. That's a skateboard I found. My wife says it's not the same one that we found in DC one time. She didn't understand why I'd be picking up stuff. But I actually put a skateboard inside this thing and poke through the canvas. This here is what I love. That's music there, that's circular there. That's an actual 45. That's a pick. This up here is a sweater that I pulled from there lately, and I began to wear it again. It's a painted piece. That's very similar to Sam Gilliam's floor when I first walked in. It's just an encrusted painted piece. That's a Champion sweatshirt that's tucked in there, but I've been wearing it lately. But that painting is called I Got a Bone to Pick. And, you know, coming up, there wasn't a lot for me to pull from. You know, I'm very fortunate to be in Washington, D.C. and have all the museums free. My mom took me to the Hirshhorn when it first opened back in 78 or 79. I think the metro had just came and everything, so she was excited to pack my sister up and take us out to these museums. Well, I didn't really, I never knew of a Sam Gilliam, I never knew of a John Dreyfuss, I just knew of art. I didn't know of Pablo Picasso or anything, I just knew art, and mainly what I knew about art was this fruit in a bowl sort of thing. Got a bone to pick is just like me saying I arrived, and all those things when I was a kid that I didn't understand, that I didn't have like anyone to say, wow, that's art, or to encourage me how I played with my little cars and tinker toys and things in the dirt for hours on end, then go climb a tree. I guess I was still making art there, I believe, but I didn't have a picture at the end of the day. I just had fun, you know. So here is me having fun. When I was like in Sam's studio or working with John, they always say, you have your own studio, because I got in some arguments with John about things, because he's a mythical sort of sculptor, and I was a very young kid, didn't know any better, didn't realize that that's his style, but he was very patient with me, and he allowed me to voice my opinion, but it was his way, because that's his studio, and he told me one day I'll have my own. So got a bone to pick is just me doing what I want to do, what makes me happy, you know. This painting, up way in the corner, I showed it that way with the gold eyes at my show, Millie, in DC. As you can see, the eye gonna change. These are the different versions of this painting to arrive there. You know, it's like, it's my art. You know, I could change it if I want in my studio, you know. Sometimes it's like the only freedom you could have. I feel like, you know, I create my own world within it, you know. It's my freedom, I could do that, the freedom to do that. So, to me, all those are relevant to the end. And like I said, that's why I document all this stuff, because I see those things as singular things, as a certificate of authenticity for the person in a sense. But to see the growth within there is something I think genuine to have, so it's not in vain. But to arrive at something, it goes back to when I was a kid again and open up the encyclopedia that my grandmother gave me and coming into that part of anatomy with all the layers. Because that's where it comes to, is all the layers that are involved, and for us to be the people that we are. It took a long amount of years. I mean, different layers of clothing, different layers of periods and things. And when the art's around me, I lay all those layers on everything that I do. Someone once asked me to paint something. It was very dear to me because it was my best friend's sister, and she just wanted something almost that you could buy at a furniture store that's ready-made. She just wanted that. It was so hard for me. It was so difficult because emotionally as an artist and being a true artist, my sister, my younger sister, had just passed away. My mom told me, you're lucky to only get one friend in life. And so this young lady was my best friend. I didn't worry about new friends, you know. So it was difficult because even though she gave me artistic freedom, it was something like dumbing down, and I couldn't allow myself to just do that. But we managed. But it took layers to get to something simple in a sense, so that I could feel good about it to give to her, you know. So I'm always going to do layers, and that comes from working with John in wax and then pouring bronze and having these large sculptures, and really working with someone like Sam, who was more of the groundwork in a sense, where he created sculptures from liquid, you know, paint in a sense. So John once said, because we had this large studio in Georgetown, which was supposed to be the last stop in Georgetown before Roslyn, looking over the Key Bridge, I'm a young kid, all this I'm thinking I'm supposed to have this, you know what I mean? And then he sends me over to Sam, and he has it all at that time, and I'm 20-something, and I'm like, when is my time? Well, it takes time. That's what those layers are about, you know, all those things to create one thing. Jasper Johns, Robert Rauschenberg, those are my champions that I had a chance all my life to visit their artwork at the Hirshhorn. Sam once sent me out on U Street to go find objects. I didn't understand it at the time, but I have, you know, I understand it now. These are all about found objects and things, sort of manipulating them. Here, there's a pair of jeans that I painted, but I balled them up to create these sculptures in a sense, you know, again, just like that cloth that was in the other painting. That's a mask with wood, chains. That's a head of a piece. That's a bust. But these are all found objects. This piece is about this yay high. But it's about building, and it's about being able to do sculpture in the space that I have. You know, I don't have the same facility as a John Dreyfuss around me with a pour bronze, but one thing they told me was, you don't have to have a lot of space, Thomas. You know, if you could do small things, just do what you can within what you have. Work with what you have, you know, until you get what you need, in a sense. But these are my sculptures, my assemblages that I do. Found objects and combined things. Here's a painting that I recently went to a collector over the summer that went through multiple changes before it left. This is a painting based on 1619 and Africans coming here into the United States. And it was about, again, if there was a couple, and I thought, you know, my wife and I, someone that I cared about, traveling that way, that long, embracing her, I probably would, the whole ride, tumbling over. I painted this painting both ways because of that tumble effect on a two-dimensional piece, but have the three-dimensional quality. I like turning things upside down, so there it's horizontal and here it's vertical. This is another version of it. This is a version that I showed at Millie in DC, but the one in the center is where it ended up. It's like Russian roulette in a sense. It tumbles until it bangs, until the right person sees it, and it speaks to them. Jonah in the Well, it's like struggling with something huge. Here is the influences of my music in a sense, of different paintings that I've done, and the actual songs or artists that I was listening to at the time. This painting, the gray matter here, is my father has it. It's something that he asked for, my grandfather, Noble. So it has a lot of references from the Orange County, Orange and Virginia, where my grandfather was, great-grandfather was from. The painting in reference, the abstract piece of Thelonious Monk with a guitar and the turquoise is a painting from a high school friend who was a major at Duke Ellington playing an instrument. The next piece is a painting I call it like where your soul is not for sale. I said not for sale. It's in reference to a blues of Johnny Lee Hooker, in a sense. Above it is Miles Ahead. In the center, Fela Kuti is above. That's A Black Man's Cry, a painting that sold at Millie. That's Miles Davis up there, one of my favorite artists who always, and Miles Ahead is below him. So again, that affection that I have for those artists and their musical flow, I sort of incorporated in my art. It's not always literal as far as a pictorial sense, but just as sure as I stand here and I'm talking about the art, it's in there and it's real. And when I say that's what it is, that's what it was. This is Terry Collier, and I listen to a lot of him. He's sort of like a folk singer in a sense, and I listened to a lot of him when I did that piece for my dad. So being an abstract artist and listening to music, I have the freedom to sort of express myself how I feel and not really what we're generally already seeing. So what I'm saying, when I paint, like you can see this, there was a 45 record inside the Black Man's Cry on the right hand side, your left facing side. That's an actual 45. So again, objects find their way into paintings. Yeah. Was that the end?
I think that was the end.
Wow.
But
Okay.
continue. I mean, where are you now? Like, where are you now with your work?
Well, it's a continuous thing of music. It's a continuous thing of movies. It's like I have a painting called King for Dade, which is really based on like the films that encourage and uplift people of color. You know, that's important to me. That the things that we see on TV. You know, growing up, I saw a lot of Brady Bunch, and just like being the Blaq Picasso, I sort of had to flip that a little bit, and I had to relate to those and not see color, you know. But that's very important because they still taught me all the stories that I needed, even though they didn't look like me, you know. So I continue to look at film and listen to music, and fashion is pretty big. It's like I'm getting older, and so it's this style called quiet luxury and things, with sort of a minimalist sort of way, and just, you know, thinking about essentials, what we really need to keep us warm, you know. And so it may happen to have a nice color, but it's functional. So I sort of, all those things, you know, I used to sell furniture at Crate and Barrel, so I used to talk to people a lot because I was one of the first $1 million sellers. I would sell $1 million for Gordon Siegel every year selling furniture, but it's something I love to do because the product. And so now I get to sell my art in a way. It's not the same way, I don't force it on you, but I'm just showing up. I'm just continuing to do the things that I love to do. And, you know, these spaces, everybody out here, I really appreciate you being here and listening to me ramble on about it. I can assure you, if you're at my home or something, in the setting, I'll be a lot more comfortable. You know what I mean? But I really enjoyed, you know, talking to you. I hope that you were able to understand a little bit more what I do. I brought this in, you know, I was, and I really didn't even check out all my notes, but these are all my notes. It's about self-expression, the representation changes over time. You know, when I paint in all those layers, I want to get to the fullest level of complexity. Yes, Tim.
When you look at these other paintings here,
Yes.
are there things that you see in some of them that you would like, a way that they say something that you would swipe and learn from just from looking at these?
I feel like I'm in school again, man. Of course. Most definitely.
But I mean, what point at one and say?
One of my favorite paintings I was blown away is you see it right here, with the rayon, that painting right there, the red one, with the crouching woman there. You know, it's like, you know, with no disrespect to him, it's like I want to be in the red part. I could do something in, you know what I mean? It's like a collaborative sort of thing.
We
It's
have the artist right here.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I read a quote,
Yes.
a Picasso quote the other day, and it
Yes.
said that great artists, I think, no, it was great, but it was, they don't copy, they steal.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, because we make it our own, you know, we make it our own. We all pull from each other, I think, when we view each other's work. That's the beautiful thing I loved about going to the museum. Ever since I was a kid to this day, I go and see what I could do to be in there. You know what I mean? How far off am I? Oh, when I use that box and I put that in there, that's what Joseph Cornell did. Oh, I could do that too, you know, Betty's art, you know what I mean? So I look at all these wonderful artists and say, wow, I want to do that too. And when I saw that and I got up on it and I said, whoa, that's a leather. I said, you know, I want to do that too, you know. So yes, photography, you know. What I love about photography, it's a wonderful point of reference. Like when I do collages, once I put like a piece of something from another place, that a picture that was taken, it sort of separates what I've been doing. Is like what it helps make what I'm doing real in conjunction with that real photograph, because they begin to talk to each other, and I might put a color over it, or like a sort of like sewing things together, and then they really jive even more. You know what I mean? It's like a snowball effect. You know, when I add things, like, you know, just when I did this piece here, this is about adding things. Those metal pieces there, that comes from my wife's job. She works in electronics, and that's like stuff that they use for little boards to make all sorts of things go and fly. You know, so she, the people at her job know that maybe he could use this, you know, because we see things differently, artists, you know. It's like, Doug, you know, money, art, it's like, you know, you see money differently. That's different types of flips in the banking, I guess. You know what I mean? We have to find the art in everything that we do. We have to flip everything that we do, you know what I mean? And make it what we want to do. I've just been like you know, you have to provide a home and for your family and things. So I've always had income from things that coincide with what I wanted to do, like Crate and Barrel Furniture. I began to work in the design department there, and I was painting things on sort of partitions that mimicked some of the artwork they were selling, and some of the execs came and said, "Oh, that's too good. You know, you can't do that. You know, it's taken away from the piece." But I was given that opportunity to work and continue to do my art all these years and help raise my family at a certain point in time. So that's where I am, because I continue to do it. And I think that's what it is for everybody. You know, we just continue to do what we love to do, and it will manifest. Yes, ma'am.
When you speak of how you listen to music when you paint, and I'm looking at your amazing use of color, I wondered if you have synesthesia. I can't say it, but synesthesia.
Is that where you see color through music?
Yeah.
You know, someone said that happens. Oh, it was Pharrell when he makes music. He's like the art director of Louis Vuitton. It's some sort of condition he said that he had. But synesthesia, do I see color? Man, I see color all the time, you know, so it's like hard to say, you know, sort of, perhaps, but I know color speaks to me, like, you know, it speaks to me. So music is, for me, to be honest, it's sort of an emotion. Yeah, and it's an emotion. For a long time, it was hard for me to paint beautiful pictures in a sense. My grandmother loved horror stories, and Alfred Hitchcock, and The Twilight Zone, and Perry Mason, and black and white, and I love those things too. And so from dark spaces, I sort of paint, and then the color really helped me, because it's like nothing can be that bad with color in a sense, when things just sparkle, because it begins to speak another language, you know. But my grandmother was a huge influence. You know, she read books and things like that. She bought me my first paint set, and she loved them horror stories. So she helped me to sort of imagine, very young age, play with myself, play by myself all day, you know, play with my toys, you know what I mean, and create. And I think that's what I still do. So my wife is wonderful to allow me to continue to play, you know, and collect things, because you never know when you're going to need those things, when they're going to come in handy.
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
you're not hung up on perfection, right? Like there's this Japanese quality of wabi-sabi, like that there's a beauty in imperfection.
Yes.
Is that something that's always come naturally, or did anybody influence you in that way? Like, hey, don't worry about it, like that's beautiful, like that it's not perfect.
See, John would cast things in bronze, and it's like the Oscar statue. It's perfect. You know what I mean? Wax almost burnt down the whole studio with burnt wax, but I ain't gonna go there. But wax it was sort of a thing, it's liquid. So, I'm sorry.
You're not hung up on like perfection.
No, I'm not. John was a perfectionist. He was an architect and a sculptor. Then I went over to work with Sam, and Sam had paint all over the floor. You know, so it was like, you could do anything there. You know what I mean? Almost anything goes, in a sense. So I saw the two versions, you know what I mean? They even sent me over to sit down and talk to William Christenberry. And boy, his space was pristine. It was all white. He did these shotgun houses and gourds and things. They tried to scare me, say he was the Ku Klux Klan, but I sat down and had tea with him, you know what I mean? And he's a very famous William Christenberry. Rest in peace, Mr. Christenberry. But as far as the perfectionist thing, no, because see, I think it goes back to my childhood and making art from the things and playing in the dirt and things like that, climbing the trees. In Washington, D.C., we had apple trees right across the street, believe it or not, concrete jungle in a sense, Washington, D.C. I used to climb mulberry trees. I had a plum tree outside my house. So, and it used to be a purple, because all of the ripe ones would just fall on this concrete poured tree. So as far as perfection, no. And thank goodness for Washington State and the grunge era, you know what I mean? We could sort of be ourselves, and then, you know, no. Robert Rauschenberg again, found objects. Those things aren't perfect. They're sort of things that people probably threw away that they consider wasn't perfect. And you know, what you find, every man's trash is another man's fortune in a sense. I had a painting called it, Rage is my sage in a sense, of anyway, no. Imperfection, Robert Rauschenberg, Jasper Johns, Jean-Michel Basquiat, you know, that sort of tactile thing, the thing that doesn't have to be perfect. I look at some folk, man, and that's what I love about some work, is that it's something that I don't do. You know, the sort of perfectionist thing, I probably would have to do something that unperfected, or slash it with a knife or something, the leather part, in a sense, for the texture, in a sense, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. I go back to my mom, and sort of the fashion sense of it is, I was in elementary school, and I was going to Delphi, Maryland school, Cherokee Lane. Shout out to Cherokee Lane. It was one of the greatest moments of my life. Elementary school, we had a garden, all kinds of things. The teacher used to take me down to the principal's office to show my work, and I drew things, you know, and such. But I'm getting off course here, but gosh, it was my childhood. It was something very dear.
Your mother?
My mom. About imperfection. This is the last thing I'm gonna say about that is, I used to go to school, and I would get bused from Hinesville, Maryland to Adelphi, and you know, go to school with a lot of kids that probably had a lot more money than my mom did, or whatever have you, but they had the matching outfits, you know, they had the matching pants with the matching top. These kids that I went to school with, and I remember going home and asking my mom, you know, can I get an outfit that match? You know, that's perfect, you know. So my mom got me an outfit. I think the Gap was out with the little G and the little A and the little P, maybe, you know. So she got something that matched. So I was going to school the next day, but before I got to school, my little grown self, I probably wasn't no longer about 7 years old, but I was younger than that. I don't know, but it was Cherokee Lane Elementary School. But anyway, I didn't go to school with the top matching. I found something else to go with those pants. I couldn't wear the matching stuff, you know what I mean? I couldn't get the cookie cut. I had to flip it. I thought I wanted that, but as soon as I saw it, I flipped it. So at a very young age, I was flipping things, you know. I couldn't take it for what it was. I always was looking deeper. I guess that goes back to film and things, and what I had watching Andy Griffith and things as such as that, and placing myself in those scenes, you know what I mean? And that's what helps me create the paintings that I create, because they're like little movies. All the things that I love within them, all the stories that are all within them, you know, because it's like, I love music the long extended versions of music. I like long, good movies. It can't be a long, bad movie. It gotta be a long, good movie, you know what I mean? So my paintings, I want them to have, you know, to look at them for a long time, and to see different things that you didn't see at different points of having paint, you know? Questions?
Anybody else have any questions?
So how much did, you do a lot of heads,
Yes.
and it kind of brings to mind, I mean, part of Picasso's fascination was with African art.
Yes.
And I just wonder how much African art affected you, particularly sculpture.
It affected me a lot, and I remember when I was in Kansas City in my foundations year, I did a thing on Picasso and how the African mass influenced him. But the head thing even came to fruition later on a time when I worked with Sam, and he was like, because he was a pure abstract expressionist, you know, he said, don't do that. And so what happens when somebody say, don't do that? I do just the opposite. You know, I mean, he said, don't, he wanted me to just be a pure abstract expressionist, with just purely just color and express myself that way with no references of anything. But I've always loved to draw people and things. I drew my own comic strip when I was going through my little puberty years. I had a superhero named Shaka. And you know, I didn't have a real girlfriend at the time, but I could write about it, you know what I mean? And I could make him the greatest hero ever. I didn't know about Shaka, the African king. It was a show that came on in the 70s that they introduced it to us, you know, after Roots. I was looking for anything that I could see on television, because I didn't have William in my life at that time, who gave me all the literature that I needed. By the time he gave it to me on being proud of who I am as an African American, as a black man, Malcolm X, Roberto Clemente, the books on Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, all those people, and a lot of the struggles that my people went through in the 60s. I thought he wanted me to like have hate in my heart from reading all those things. And the next day, he said, "No, I didn't give you those books to hate anyone, you know, to hate anyone. I gave it to you to have knowledge and to understand, you know, the things and the contributions that we did, and why I want you to go to school." Because this was my stepdad, and he came into my life when I was probably about 9 years old. But like I said, he was an educator and things such as that, and he leveled out things for me. So I was drawing all the time, but it was like I was drawing in class, and so that was a no-no. I couldn't draw on that paper, but I didn't necessarily get what I needed when the education, when he came into my life at that time. It was a sort of a struggle as a young man, of coming of age to be a young man. But it gave me the things that I needed during those times of the 80s and coming up before I was really a full-fledged teenager. I had to fight for my life in DC, you know what I mean? He had already laid down the groundwork, me looking a man in the eye and really being sure of who I am. That's aside from being an artist, or being the man who I am, being the artist who I am, and standing where I stand, and on my word, and being authentic, you know? Because at the end, we all need each other, you know? And me being authentic and showing myself, just being humble, practicing humility, you know?
I have a question.
Yes.
In your process of layering to add context to the painting, do you ever
That's a good question because it is something, because it'd be these little parts. It'd be these little parts and paintings that you just want to hold on to. So it's really about, because one of the strongest ways to get rid of something, and when I do layering, is when I do gesso, because there's no return of those things, what was there before it. There's no ghost image, there's no phantom. So, because like I like to draw in permanent marker, because if I drew that, I have this phantom sort of situation where whatever's on the permanent marker, it'll come through unless I gesso it. So I could put multiple layers of acrylic paint or oil paint, and that whatever I draw, like this is all in, like magic marker, like graffiti, writing on something you're not supposed to write on. It's going to remain when I layer over it. So I'm okay with layering over things. It's only when I get to gesso and I put my black line on things where I know it's the point of no return. But yes, there are points where you miss things, like, I'm not sure if you saw it within the slides, but underneath it here is some pictures of the hotel where Martin Luther King was assassinated. In the clip, there's some little pictures that I put there, and it's point of references in the sense, it's like, it's in there, it's like anatomy, you know, and it's not there, but that's what I mean about creating my own sort of situation, of series of things that where the layers will become the end product. It's important. It's like being able to go back and look at it again when I did it in those stages. But that's a great question, because yeah, that's the point of no return, and it's a pivotal term, because a color, a block of colors, anything, it turns everything to a certain direction, and you see everything a little differently, you know.
So even though something's hidden, the energy of it can still project. Is that sort of how you feel about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You would have never known if I would have said it, or even having the privilege of seeing the picture, but
You know.
I know it, yeah, and that's why I believe in it. And it's like, what was there sort of predicted what's at the end, in a sense. You know, I like that part about it. I love that part about it, because it's like the older we get, we don't always realize the things that helped us to be the people that we are right now. Just the smallest things. It may be someone we met in the past, or whatever it is, a point of reference of anything, you know. It's like when I saw Robert's work for the first time, it was remind me of de Kooning, and you know, it's that thing about taking from other artists. It's like we can recognize, and we may not necessarily knew that was even there, but somewhere along the line, things connect. You know, we can see other artists or other influences in people's work. And a lot of times we don't see it. It takes for someone else to see it and to point it out to us. Yeah, that's that sort of thing about making yourself vulnerable and showing your work. You know, I've been very fortunate. There's people that like it, but not everybody's going to like what you do, especially if you're doing it because you like to do it, like I do. You know, considered a fine artist in a sense. I paint exactly what I want to do, what moves me, you know. But I'm not unlike you. We're the same, you know. So we're not gonna wear the same clothes all the time, but we like the same things. We know we need to have certain things on, like a scarf accentuates, keeps us warm, and it looks nice, you know. It's choices that we make, you know, editing our lives and adding to our lives.
Right.
Like Tim's sweater, man. That's a nice cardigan, you know. You could have a different type of cardigan, but the lines on it are nice. That's your choice.
It looks
Thrift
great.
shop.
It's what?
The thrift shop.
Oh yeah, that's the great stuff.
That
They
light.
don't do it like they used to do it all the time. I like going through the thrift shops. It's like going through antique shops and things like that, because the way things were done, we only really trying to do them better, you know. But we can't always duplicate the way that they were done, the quality of things and the time that people spent on making them. That's what I love about doing fine art. It's something that I can continue to do with my hands Rolls Royce being built, you know what I mean? I'm building something by hand that I believe in, you know, that I will stand on, you know. No matter how big, no matter how small, you know. It took energy, real time. You do that. It's discipline too, you know. It's discipline. Yeah. I never have to force myself, but sometimes you make yourself get up, and once you put a mark on something, then it just flows. It's just nonstop. And that's what I continue to allow to happen, is to allow things to happen. You know, not shut off anybody, any type of art, music. I've taken all kinds of music, you know. That was the beauty of going to Duke Ellington School of the Arts, because there were so many different talented people, you know, writers, you know, singers, dancers. Melissa went to Duke Ellington. I didn't realize it at first.
I know, we just figured that out.
And it's like a small world. So, you know, just coming full circle, you know. A lot, and then one of the saddest things, not really sad, but I'm always encouraging my fellow man, people who went to school for art, music, whatever have you, to continue to do it, you know. There's not a lot of folks that's still doing it, you know. Some people gave up on it.
Is it the guy that's got the big gallery in Texas, is it Rothko, that tells people they have to sit and look at his paintings for like an hour or something? Is it Rothko I'm thinking of?
Probably, like he has the chapel.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
you know, your paintings, I'm sitting there because I can't hear worth a shit.
Okay.
But I'm looking at you, and there's more and more and more to see. It's because I'm stuck here and I'm looking at them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I keep seeing more in them. It's really cool.
Man,
And that's how you sound like you talk. You've got all this stuff going on,
yeah.
and there's just more and more behind those paintings.
Yes.
That's what I read about that guy. He tells people they have to sit and be there for a long time. That's the rules.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Yeah, man, because you want people to sort of let go, not be in a hurry. One of my favorite words is slow walking. I tell everybody I love, you know, slow walking. You know, just enjoy the space. Enjoy the space. Enjoy what's in front of you, and because it's going to speak to you some kind of way. It's going to speak to you. If you just sit still long enough, it's like me moving and settling down and where I am in Hagerstown, slowing things down for me, you know, slowed it down so I can see things. I can, my sense of smell, everything's a little different. It's heightened, you know. So that's what we have to do, because the world is going fast enough, you know, things are going fast enough. We have to find a way to slow it down, and that's what art can do. Viewing it, making it, listening to music, dancing, it slows things down so we can sort of embrace who we are, you know, and give our best selves, our best versions of ourselves to the people that we encounter.
Yeah, amen.
I have a question. Do you ever consider your painting done? Because I notice how I go back and I go back and I go back. And I love you showing us how it gets from here to here. I love the background of a painting. Like, I'm always curious looking at all these paintings, like,
Yes.
how did it, I'm a layer painter, I'm a painter too, so I love just working it, and it's like, I never start knowing what it's gonna be, right? So,
Yeah.
do you ever consider it done?
Some images, some things, yes, but like I said, it's really not done, honestly, until it's really gone. I mean, I always see what I can do. I may not necessarily physically do it, but I'm always looking at it, pushing it to the next level. While it's around me, it's mine to manipulate in a sense. But some things I'm really crazy about. But if they're not in my studio, they're safe.
Right.
They're safe. I had a painting called 2020 Vision, and I left it at a relative's house, and he was going to purchase it. Then it ended up going another way, and someone else, another family purchased it, and it's in their collection. But thank God it was somewhere else, because I might have change it, you know. But it's beautiful as it is. But I stand behind it either way, you know what I mean? But it's beautiful when the cocoon becomes a butterfly. It goes, you know, because it's a whole nother realm of folk watching it and looking at it. And it's a family that's very deserving of that painting during that time that I painted it, during COVID. So, yeah.
Great. All right. Well, Thomas, thank you so much.
Thank
So Thomas has work here in the exhibition. If you haven't had a chance to look around, I'm pretty sure most of you have. But yeah, Thomas is going to have work here through January, probably even longer. So thank you so much. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, let me share that story.